Hey, good morning, it's Owen, Bigland. This is the Inside Edge video blog. I have a lot of people over the last year that have asked me about Airbnb. Should I convert a condo, my rental condo, into an Airbnb unit? And what effect is Airbnb having on the Vancouver real estate market in general? So I've been delaying doing a blog like this because I wanted to gather a bit more information on it. Airbnb is relatively new. It's only been around for a couple of years. If you're not familiar with it, to keep it simple, it's a website that allows homeowners to either rent a room in a house or a condo, in most cases rent the entire one-bedroom or two-bedroom condo out, or the entire house. And it's gained a lot of popularity. From what I understand, Vancouver is one of the most popular cities per capita for Airbnb. So it is starting to have an effect on the Vancouver real estate market, and I'm going to go through some of the pros and cons to it here. The first thing I'm starting to notice, if you remember a blog I did last July on how Vancouver rents are starting to go up at a very quick pace. In my over 20 years as a landlord, I have not seen a jump in rental prices like this ever. And last summer I was saying that I had units renting at $1,800 that are now renting for around $2,100 or $2,150 a month. So it's a substantial jump. Now, a lot of that, or at least a good portion of it, I'm going to attribute to Airbnb, because what I'm starting to see happen is I'm starting to see long-term landlords and property owners like myself deciding to experiment with one or two of their units, and they are taking long-term unfurnished units off the market, furnishing them, putting them on Airbnb and renting them by the night. So when you have that happen, it is taking supply down. They're removing long-term unfurnished rentals off the market. Demand is still ultra high and growing. When demand is still high and going up and supply goes down, up go the rental prices. So I'm starting to see that happen, and how long it'll continue, I don't know, but as more and more long-term landlords decide to convert to Airbnb, it is going to start causing the prices of rent to continue to go up. The second thing I see is I think it is probably having a bit of an effect on Vancouver condo prices. Not a whole lot, but some for sure. Because I would say about 10% of the buyers for Vancouver condos are investors. They're buying the unit and they're going to rent it out. Well, the first thing an investor is going to look at is the cap rate. How much can I charge per month for rent versus the price that I'm paying for the unit? Well, when those cap rates start to go up, when you can get more rent every month, then the value of the unit, the purchase prices, tend to go up as well. So as those cap rates go up, so do prices. So I think it is probably having a bit of an effect, a lifting effect on prices. Not the biggest one. A lot of it is interest rates and everything else. But I think it is having an effect on prices. Now, people need to understand, though, with Airbnb, first off, it is illegal to rent an apartment on Airbnb in several layers. It's against city bylaws and laws that we've got in the city. You need a lodging license. You can't turn a condo into an apartment building or into a hotel. So you're violating the rules that the city has in place, although, as we know, it would be virtually impossible really for the city to enforce it. And for right now, I think they're just letting a lot of it slide under the carpet. But the big one is that in most cases you are violating the Strata bylaws. If you're downtown, you've got a Yale Town condo, chances are, if you look up your Strata bylaws and your rules and regs, it will stipulate in there that you cannot rent your apartment night to night furnished. Usually it's a 6-month minimum lease that's required. I've seen some for as low as 3 months, but you cannot rent by the night. Now here's the interesting thing going forward, and I'll do another blog on this later this year. I've had 2 AGMs in the past 4 months on some of my investment properties. Both of them have now introduced new Airbnb clauses. So now they are changing the Strata bylaws and forbidding Airbnb rentals. 6-month minimum rental, you cannot rent night to night furnished, and they're going another step further. They're saying now that the property managers are going to start monitoring sites like Airbnb, and if you're caught with a unit on Airbnb, you will be fined, and the fines are all over the place. The last one I attended, it was $200 per week. I've got another AGM coming up at a unit in Gastown later next month, and they have the same thing. I just got the AGM agenda. In there too is a new vote on a new clause in the Strata bylaws to forbid Airbnb units. So you are running amok of your Strata. If you get caught, you're going to get fined. So I don't know how this is going to go play forward. I think there's always going to be some investors out there that don't care because, I mean, let's face it, I will admit, if you get a cocktail napkin and run some numbers, let's say you've got a one-bedroom condo in Yaletown that you're renting for $2,000 on a one-year lease unfurnished. I think if you were to put that onto Airbnb, you could get $140, $150 a night for it, furnished. Let's say you only rent it for 20 nights out of every month and it sits empty the other 10. That's still about $3,000 a month compared to $2,000 unfurnished. So that's a fair bit of difference. That's a 50% bump in your cap rate. So for enough people, that's money is enticing enough to probably violate the Strata bylaws. But I would be careful moving forward. I think that the Stratas now are starting to clamp down on this. A lot of them are just starting to get their heads around it. And I have a feeling moving forward, I'm going to see a lot more of these restrictions where they're specifying no Airbnb. The other thing, though, the big one that is always scared me away from doing it, I've thought about it for a brief minute over a beer, and then I've had thoughts, I've come to reality and thought it's not worth the hassle. But it's the insurance. I mean, if you've got a guy in there who floods the bathtub, passes out, floods your unit and the other 6 units below you, your insurance might be void. There's a good chance it is when you go to make that claim, because as you know, as a long-term landlord, when you put a tenant into a condo, you need to fill out what's known as a Form K. It's an information certificate on your tenant that has to be filed with every tenant with your property manager. Now, if that unit floods, you don't have the proper Form K, and they find out that that unit was on Airbnb, there's a good chance that your insurance is not going to pay. You can get flooding now. I think a lot of people that live in a condo in Vancouver have had experience with flooding. The guy passes out on the 20th floor in the shower, floods the next 6 floors down. You can run up $200,000, $300,000 worth of damage in a blink of an eye. So you do not want to be messing around with your liability insurance. So I would be careful with it. So we'll see how it goes moving forward. I'll probably post a few more articles or blogs here on Airbnb in the future. But the main takeaways are this. I do see, for now, the trend is that I am seeing some long-term landlords are taking some unfurnished units off the market, furnishing them and putting them on Airbnb, which is causing the rents to go up. When the rents go up, the value of those units also goes up because the cap rate goes up. So it's having a bit of an effect on prices as well. But again, you're violating the city, although they're not enforcing it. The big thing is you're going against your Strata rules and bylaws, and that's the one where I would be very cautious with, as well as your insurance. That's Airbnb. I'll post another one in the fall, give you an update on it. I'm Owen Bigland. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.